when you think of the word prostitution, words like pimp, extortion, and trafficking might come to mind. But is it time to take the stigma out of sex work? Our next guest is an author and the founder of a feminist escort agency in New Zealand. Antonia Murphy joins us live to talk to us about sex work and what it's like to run a legal escort agency. Antonia, thank you so much for joining us.
Wow, okay. Hello there.
I'm so excited to be here.
I'm very excited to talk to you about this. So in 2003, New Zealand passed the Prostitution Reform Act, and I just wanted you to have the floor. What did this do, essentially?
Well, it decriminalized sex work in New Zealand. New Zealand is still the only country in the world where sex work is completely decriminalized. Huh. So basically, whereas you may have heard that places like Amsterdam, it's legalized, it's still extremely, extremely regulated there. In New Zealand, it's utterly decriminalized. So essentially, sex work is the same as selling a pizza or a dishwasher.
Okay, so you were never personally a sex worker before starting a feminist escort agency called The Batch.
Yeah.
So why did you want to start an escort agency?
Well, number one, I needed to make money because my husband split. So
That's honest.
And I had written a funny memoir in the past. So I had this very naive idea that, I can start an escort agency and won't it be a funny lark and it would be another opportunity for humor. And what I learned was that whereas for some women, sex work is fun and funny and they figure, I'm having sex for free on Tinder anyway, why don't I get paid for it? For many women, it's a lifeline. And the women who I met were by and large in a very small town in New Zealand. They had either a high school diploma, if that, and they had inevitably gotten pregnant very young, and then the boyfriend split, and they were kind of stuck in this small town with no professional qualifications, a small child to take care of. And even though New Zealand has a welfare state, it's not enough to get by and to provide a decent life for your child. So we offered far and away the best hourly wage that you could earn in our corner of the world. And so I learned very quickly that I had waded into a very complicated scenario, and the work that I was offering was giving people really a lifeline out of poverty.
Interesting. Antonia, is prostitution feminist in your opinion?
Well, everybody wants an easy answer to that question. You know, people generally, when it comes to sex work, they want an answer that they can put on the back of a cereal box or on a bumper sticker. But it really is it's incredibly complex. And sometimes I compare it to something like, the garment industry. You can get ethically sourced garments made by people who are being paid a living wage, or you can buy garments that are put together in a sweatshop by women who are really being exploited. And so both those extremes exist in sex work and everything in between.
Well, let's keep talking.
The way we did it, I say, was feminist. And I'll tell you why. Because our agency was completely consent-based. That was our North Star. So women were never told to take a booking. They were always asked. They told me when they were available, not the other way around. And when we got an inquiry from a client, I would tell the woman as much as possible about the client, exactly what he was after and what the expectations were. And they had opportunity every step along the way to give or withdraw consent, including after the booking had started.
Oh, great. Okay. Well, I wanted to ask you this because you said, prostitution has been decriminalized in New Zealand legally. But what about socially? How do you feel like people there
That's a good question.
feel about this? And can you see both sides in how somebody might have a problem with this?
It's still incredibly taboo. For a number of reasons. Just in general, I think people are uncomfortable with sex outside of the strictures of marriage or a committed boyfriend-girlfriend relationship. But honestly, I think it goes much deeper than that. I think that paid sex work terrifies men, because essentially everybody wants to make money off women's beauty and sexuality, from selling products to writing rock songs to selling pornography. And by and large, the only ones who are not making money off of that are the women. And I think that it strikes a very deep chord in a lot of people, the idea of what if every woman charged for sex? Ooh.
Wow.
That's a little terrifying, isn't it?
I Everyone's like, no, oh my God.
Or they're saying, oh, let me
think
check
about
my
that.
bank account.
For sure. There is a fictionalized TV show called Madam Mom, and it's being made about you in The Batch. You have about a minute left. Why do you want to share your story? Why isn't that important to you?
I really want people to see the complexities of sex work, that it can be the depths of exploitation and trafficking, and it can be the sort of male fantasy of the highly paid escort who flies all around the world. But really, sex work is work, and for the most part, it's women who need to make a living. And so it's the whole wonderful complexity of the human condition, and I want to tell that story in all of its different shades and colors.
Wow. It's like a sociology experiment.
It really
That's
is.
fascinating.
I know. Antonia, thank you so much for joining us today. To our viewers, check out her website at antoniamurphy.com to learn more and for updates about Madam Mom. We'll be right back.
Congrats. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.